What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? So, welcome to Tuesday's episode. So, for those of you who may just now be learning about us or tuning in for the first time, so Monday and Tuesday are topics, Wednesday discussion, Thursdays Ask CISSP, and then Fridays everything else, movies, books, games, all that cool stuff. But without further ado, I give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this article comes from executivegov.com, right? Excuse me, written by Elodie Collins. And the title of this one is Navy Introduces Mosaics Cybersecurity Framework for Critical Infrastructure, right? So the Naval Information Warfare Center, right, has introduced Mosaics, which is more situational awareness for industrial control systems, is what it's called. It's a mouthful, right? So more situational awareness for industrial control systems, right? And it's a cybersecurity approach, right? So, and we've talked about this before, and it's something that needs to be something that is emphasized more and more as every day goes by, right? So critical industrial control systems, right? So NIWC and IWC, they're adopting Mosaics across the Department of Defense, right? So this gives engineers the requirements for building cybersecurity and things like that for different ICSs, right? So those infrastructure control systems. So we talk about this all the time, right? They become the soft targets, right? Because it costs money to upgrade and keep things, what am I trying to say, up to date, I guess you could say, but it is a necessary thing, right? When you think about these services that provide so much for so many, right? You talk about your electrical grids, your water treatment plants, right? Even when it comes to nuclear, right? We got some nuclear stuff out there as well that needs safeguarding, right? These things need to be protected, right? And the vulnerabilities in the critical infrastructure sector are becoming more and more prevalent to those out there that are trying to make money with the idle hands, as you mentioned last episode, right? Like idle hands are the work of the devil, and the devil is out there getting that work in right now, right? But yeah, it's good that they're doing this. It seems like if I was to guess, I think this is something that they have been doing, but I think they want to be more public about it, maybe as a deterrent, right? Because it's not. I find it hard to believe that the different branches of the military were not addressing this more often. I think the reason that this is like this for the Navy is because the Navy has a big hand when it comes to nuclear security, right? Even for the Air Force, I don't know if anybody remembers this, but several years ago, there were some planes that flew some nuclear material across the country, not like it should have been secure like it was supposed to be. And then ever since then, the Air Force told the Navy, like, hey, you take care of this. You deal with this all the time. In subs and aircraft carriers, like, you know what you're doing for these different things. So I think that's really why the Naval Information Warfare Center has really gotten into this, right? Again, not just for nuclear, but for protection of everything. But yeah, this what they're doing is again just making it more secure and making it harder for the enemies to go out there and do things that they have been doing against these perceived soft targets, right? Because again, we're seeing it all the time when it comes to electrical plants, water treatment facilities, pipelines, right? Gas pipelines. We've seen all of this before get attacked, right? So they're trying to put a lid on this and put it out there. Hey, we're putting resources into this, right? Now, whether or not those resources last, we'll see. We'll see if this is the next cut to come based off our previous article, right? We'll see. We'll see if this is something they're like, hey, we don't want this either. It's costing too much. Yeah,
Not the nukes.
Yeah, it's a service that's provided, right? Well, I mean, it's one of those things, right? There was some stuff that happened earlier this year when they were doing job cuts to where when it came to nuclear surety and safety,
yeah, it's true.
Some mistakes were made, right? Because they just weren't paying attention to what they were doing, whether inadvertent or not, right? You should probably know what people are doing before you let them go, right? My takeaway from that, and which should be theirs, but. Doge is going to Doge, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's the exact opposite. It's like we find out what they do after we had to cut them. Oh, come back.
But Ryan, what's your thoughts on this, man?
Yeah, so I wasn't surprised that it was a naval kind of push, but it's been around for a while. Like not Mosaic specifically, but I remember when we were in Virginia, right? So what is that, 2010 or so? We had a captain who was working on a project for OT systems, right? Like for those, at the time we called them SCADA systems, right? Like, and they may still call them that, but I see OT way more than I see SCADA nowadays. But I remember it was one of his passion projects. He was trying to get some modernization done, and he was doing kind of a survey to figure out what was going on, specifically when it came to Air Force base water treatment plants and things of that nature. So it was a pretty cool project. I don't know if it ever went anywhere, right? At the time, it was kind of novel. It was like, oh yeah, these systems need to be better protected. He was trying to work on so probably like a dissertation or something. What it boiled down to. But you brought up a good point though. Like I did forget about the I I don't even know what you would call it, but yeah, the misallocation of nuclear materials and how the world was in the outrage because you're supposed to report that stuff as it's traversing, right? You're supposed to say, hey, this is going from point A to point B. It's part of like I think it's the Stark Agreement or something like that, if that still exists.
Commanders lost their job over that. That
Yeah,
was
they fired
very.
everybody, and I it, I'm not saying I'm not saying it was not a bunch of people's fault, but this is usually the firings are usually pretty widespread. Like you could just be someone who had no idea what was going on, and be like this is your fault because you know what's going on. That's not even part of my part of my job. Like, well, you're in charge of this wing or this command or whatever. But what I did forget was also that they did hand a lot of it over to the Navy. So that's pretty interesting because I worked at a base that was going through some upgrades of some facilities that dealt with um, materials, and there was Navy people present. I was like, "Why are you here?" Well, that makes sense. Uh,
And that's like the reason I said was not a guess. That is exactly why they did it. That they handed it over to the Navy, because the Navy deals with that all the
right.
time. They're like, you are familiar with this. Again, the subs, the aircraft carriers, things of that nature. So,
Yeah, because I think they have like half the arsenal or something like that. But I guess after doing the survey, they must be way more structured, which you would hope, right? The regiment to deal with these type of things. I think Mosaic goes beyond that. Like that would be the most. That's the tip, right? And then everything beneath that would be also OT systems when it comes to the plants where they manufacture their subs and ships and things of that nature, and how because they have oh man, what are they called? I forget. NASA's, right? Naval Air Stations that sit on, land or whatever. Because you think Navy, you always think they're out at sea, but they have duty stations that are on land. We have one up here. I went to go get a new ID card from one time. And in those, they do have obviously water treatment plants and things of that nature as well. So just makes sense. So it's good to see, and hopefully this trickles over to the private sector because I know they have a big issue with OT over there as well. I was talking to someone on LinkedIn putting together a kind of like a TED talk, and they're bringing in a bunch of different industries. And I was like, that's interesting where you're putting it. I was like, why specifically there? And they're like, oh, well, we're by the water and we have access to the Mississippi, so this is where a lot of the industry lives, right? Because it's easier to get these products in and out because of all the waterways. I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I never thought about that. Where ports are and things of that nature, right? So they bring the industry together to talk about their OT systems and how to better protect them. Critical infrastructure and supply chains aren't disrupted by attacks and things of that nature. So I was like, oh, okay, I never knew. It's I'm not trying to keep it covert. It's Louisiana, but yeah, it was like, why are all you guys meeting in Louisiana? I was like, oh yeah, that's where the industry kind of like headquartered. I was like, okay, brand new to me. That's pretty cool. So I say all that to say, like, I do like this initiative, and hopefully it's not going to take a blow from these cuts. Like everything else, they're like critical infrastructure. Who needs that? Cut it. Obviously or I won't speak for Shannon. Obviously, I'm a little biased towards all these cuts. I don't appreciate them.
I don't either. I don't either. Again, I said it in the first episode, right? So everybody go back and watch Monday's episode where I did say this, right? Just to catch up. I am not for there. There is government waste. I'm not saying there isn't, but there is a way to do it. There's a scalpel instead of a sledgehammer that's going about doing these things. So.
Yeah, wait till they find out about end of year funds. That comes up in October. Wait till they stumble across that.
Was it gonna bring that up? Oh my
If
god!
no one just listen to this podcast, I'd be very surprised. They're like, how can we cut that? I'm like, well, I don't think you can. Can they? But yeah, when they find out about that, oh man, that is a farce. Like you should have started there. But whatever. I digress.
And you know what's crazy about that is I had heard years ago that the Marines don't do it the
They
same way that
don't.
everyone else
They
does.
they do not. They give money back every year. And they still get their budget. So that always blew my mind because they make it sound like you have to do it. Uh, for anybody who's listening, who's currently military or had lost their jobs due to the Doge cuts and things of that nature, like we do appreciate you and your service, and hopefully they restore everything back to the way it was. We joke around a little bit. I was I was gonna say a benefactor. That means you got something. I was a victim. I was let go because of those cuts. So I'm a little bit spicy about it, so to speak, right? Luckily, I found new employment already, but everyone doesn't have that network. It's not the case. So it does suck. But I think we've gotten away from the topic. So Mosaic, great initiative. So hopefully it keeps doing what it's doing, and I look forward to seeing again how this kind of transforms throughout the different services. So definitely hit us up throughout the week. Monday, Tuesday, our topics. Wednesday, discussion. Thursdays, Ask a CISSP. I have one come up with Mark Christian. It's a really good one. I have a Christmas tree in the background of it because that's how long ago we filmed it. It just took me a while to get done editing it. And then Fridays, everything else. Movies, books, games, all that cool stuff. I actually did see a Blockbuster, and we'll split, but not where I was supposed to, right? I didn't go to the theaters to see it. So Shannon was like, a Blockbuster. Like, we'll talk about it on Friday. Hit up all the websites that go by our name. The other side is Firewall, the other side is FW, or Ask a CISSP. Hit me up personally at RY Security Guy. That's RY Security Guy. You can find me pretty much on all the social medias, but LinkedIn is where I'm most active. Stay safe, stay secure.